1942, the Nazis thought they were sitting on top of the world, never suspecting that they could be toppled in one conflict, the most unusual battle of the war.
It has been decided that a German national team will play a combined team from the prisoners of war of the occupied territories.
That's crazy.
Okay, I'm ready to sign up.
Sign up, Hank.
And you ought to be exhibited in Paris like performing fleas. What about me?
Get out of here.
A stacked game. The Third Reich's finest against a ragged bunch of prisoners of war. The Germans thought they had it made.
They couldn't run about for 90 minutes. They'd be chucking their guts up.
Am I good or am I good?
What's your name?
You know my name.
What's your name?
I decided to join the team.
The American? No.
You use that bloody American style again here and you'll be barred.
Look, you're playing English, I play American.
Can you do it with your mouth shut, Hank?
Hey, the mouth and the hands work together. It's a team.
This match is a propaganda stunt for the Germans. It's a wonderful opportunity for us.
Yabo Yablonsky is a name that probably nobody's ever heard of, but he was kind of a working writer. And I don't know how I met him, but we got along great. And I think one day I said to him, what are you writing? And he says, I'm writing something you probably would be interested in. He said, it's called Victory. This was easily 10 years before they made the movie.
Like 1970 or 71, something like that. Yeah.
When I read it, it was in the 60s. Nobody even had soccer in their brain, except they know that they were playing in Europe and South America and blah, blah, blah. And I said to myself, soccer is going to definitely come here. So maybe this is interesting. Could I read it? And he said, sure. And he gave me a copy. And I read it and I said, wow. That was the days when the Cosmos were the really only team in the United States. And they would play, kind of loosely, but they would play serious soccer teams, in New York. And I said, if it gets to New York, it's coming for sure. So I optioned it from him. And I think I did 3 years. And I gave him an out so that if I couldn't do anything with it, I'd just give it back to him, And anyway, I really liked it. And at that time, Warner Brothers owned the Cosmos. Warner Brothers had their main office really here, but they had a big office in New York. I figured out a way to present them Victory. I said, no, it's not something that's on your radar, but maybe. And they read it. They came back to me and said, we'll give you our standard development deal. We'll give you $15,000 and we'll put a writer on to get us a little better rewrite. And that's our standard deal. And I don't know what the fuck was in my brain, but I said no. I couldn't believe it. Like 10 years later, I said, you never say no, man. You never say no in the business. It's not a word that you should ever use, especially if you're just starting out in the business. Somebody offers you something, you just say yes. I should have never said no. But I didn't think I was making the wrong decision. I said, 15 grand is not going to change my life. And I had no idea the importance of that deal until later. So anyway, I always thought that the picture should be much stronger. And it wasn't pro-German. It just wasn't anti-German. And I said to myself, come on, man, it's got to be anti-German, man. So anyway, I had a friend of mine who was a writer named George Milichevich. And George Milichevich never had a job in Hollywood. He was a real good friend of mine, and he and his wife and his kids, we were all close. There was a whole bunch of us that were pretty close. Guys I knew from Jersey, and we were all in Hollywood. They all followed me out. Like about 7 guys followed me into show business when I went in it. I don't know why they came. I have no idea. So I proposed to George that he and his partner rewrite this. And then I presented it, and it was just about that time when Andy Vanya and his partner got very hot in Hollywood. I lived around the corner from their office on Rangeley. And one day I got a message from them, come on over to the office, we want to talk to you about Victory. I didn't know how they even knew it. So it was about that time where Paramount stole Victory and made The Longest Yard.
Really?
It was a script, was a Victory script.
Really?
Turned around to be prisons instead of a concentration camp.
Yeah, no shit.
They stole a fucking screenplay.
What's weird, when I was watching
I
it, I
kept-
was thinking it was like The Longest Yard meets The Great Escape. That's what I was thinking when I was watching it.
Yeah.
I was thinking
They
that.
just outright stole the goddamn thing.
Wow.
Man.
Wow.
And it wasn't soccer or anything, so there it was. We still had the screenplay.
Wow.
So George comes back with an incredible fucking screenplay, man. He and his partner took it from the point of view that the Germans were bad guys.
Yeah.
You know, that screenplay had the Germans as bad guys, but they weren't bad guys. They were semi-bad guys. And, you know, I wanted the Germans to be fucking terrible.
Yeah, no kidding. Who the fuck wants misunderstood knock?
I mean, a concentration camp is not exactly a picnic,
Yeah, no shit.
you know, in the park.
Wait a minute. There's not good people on both sides? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, there were some very,
Like, some of these
there were
Nazis
some-
are just misunderstood.
there were some very fine people that were German
Right.
Gestapo people.
Yeah.
Very fine.
Yeah. Fucking shit.
Anyway, George comes back with a screenplay. It's 155 pages long.
Wow. It's a long one.
I gave you a screenplay like that once myself. But that's another story. Go on.
Yeah, that's the one where you go like this and you go, it's too long.
Yeah,
You know?
I know.
Anyway, but it was great. It was from the point of view of a real point of view of the Germans are not nice people, and the concentration camp is not a country club. Anyway, I took a flight down to see Jack Nicholson on location, and I came in with this thing, and we knew each other because he was in Neptune when I was at Asbury Park. Neptune is next door to it. So I never knew he was there, but when we compared things, when we meet and we compared, we were from the same, within 2 miles of each other,
Wow.
where we grew up. So anyway, I took it, and he took the screenplay and he went, "Nah, this is too long."
Really?
Oh, the-
Immediately?
Yeah, he held it in his hand. He went, "Oh no, somebody's got to cut this."
That's great.
Anyway, but I'll read it. And he did. He loved it. He said, "But it'll never get done like at this late. So you're gonna have to cut it and come back to me, and we'll see." I'm not committing to it, but I like it. You know? So all of a sudden, Freddie Fields is interested in making Victory. He's dealing with Vanya and Cassell. He didn't deal with me.
Is that a bird or somebody screaming?
That's my bird.
Okay, never mind.
And it needs an act of God to stop him.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. I'm
And
surprised.
and here I am God. So I've been trying to figure out a way to kill this fucking bird now for 20 years.
Oh, shit.
Just put it on your head and finish the interview.
He had any meat on him, I'd have eaten him already. But you know,
You've
Anyway.
turned into like Robert Vaughn, like now from
Yeah, you are like Robert Vaughn.
Play Pigeon, just fucking talking to birds. And,
Reciting
Oh, yeah.
poetry and shit.
oh, shit.
Sorry.
so
go on.
anyway,
Go ahead.
Freddie Fields is dealing with Kassar and him. He makes a deal, and I'm included in the deal. He's giving me 25 grand and them each 25 grand. You know, deals were strange then, you know, that they had no money in them. My deal was as co-producer, and he didn't want anybody on the set. They made it in Budapest, you know, as cheap as you can make it. And he got a lot of good people in it. He got Michael Caine in it, who I knew from London. They got Stallone, and I forgot who the third guy was.
Pele.
Pele. He's like considered
what-
the
no,
world's
no.
greatest soccer player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd been in touch with Pele long ago. So there's something I didn't, you know, I saw the paperwork and I went, this is nothing. And the guys, Giselle said, listen, said, if we don't take this deal, we're going to scuttle this project.
Oh, shit.
You know, we're just going to scuttle it. We've had it too long. And it doesn't matter if we think it's good or it's not. If nobody wants to make it, fuck it, we'll just throw it away. So I went, okay, I'll take it. And I never negotiated my spot in advertising. So if you go to Victory today, if you're not the last guy out of the theater, I mean the last guy out of the theater, you will not see my credit.
Actually, Tom, can you explain just real quick what negotiating a spot in the credits entails? Because I don't think a lot of people know what that even is.
Well, when you make a movie deal, you have to make a deal for where you are in paid advertising. And paid advertising includes the poster, any ads you might make in papers, and that. And if you're going to be a co-producer, you want to know, where is it going to be? Is it going to be above the title, below the title, but before the film? You want to know where the hell it's going to be. Let me tell you, because if you don't, and the guy just happens to have a problem with you, which he did, because I couldn't stand this fucking guy, and I was amongst hundreds. He ran the biggest agency, when I first got there. So my title was so far down in the credits that even IMDb didn't believe me. And I finally told them where it was, and they gave me another number because they didn't think it was the same Tom Stern.
Really?
So I'm the only guy I know has two numbers in IMDb. I'm 3 and 13.
And that's
13 is Victory.
That's the only credit that guy, that other Tom Stern has. That's the only credit, I think, because I looked it up. You know what I mean? So, like, you would think they would know, like, you're the same guy, because there's no other credits under that Tom Stern. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 13 is one credit.
Yeah, so you would think they would look at that and go, oh, of course it's the same guy. This guy never made anything else. You know what I mean?
It's not like one random Tom Stern that made that one.
Exactly. Like, you would think like it's not that hard to figure out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Hopefully we'll be able to fix all that.
So you weren't on the set at all or anything like that? And
nope, never was invited to the set.
That's bullshit. That sucks. Big John Huston movie with all those people and you're not even on the set. Like, well, that's bullshit.
Everybody always said that Freddie Fields was a prick, and I can vouch for that. The guys that know me said, where the hell's your title?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Shit.
I said, the guys that I got to write it, and they didn't even use their screenplay. They went back to the original. I wanted to change. I went back to the original. So that brings me to a fact that you probably do or do not know, which is that I came in the business technically in 58, and when I went to school, right? So I made a picture every 10 years. So now, if you look at the dates of the pictures, the 90s was In God's Hands, 80s was Victory, 70s was Play Pigeon, 60s was Hell's Angels 69.
What happened to 2000, Tom?
In God's Hands was 98. Coming at You was up to 210, and I haven't done anything since 210.
Every decade. Huh?
You, man.
Yeah.
The Allied High Command called them crazy, and maybe they were.
We want you to contact the resistance for us and arrange the escape of the football team.
But I want to thank you all for your concern, but I'm really not planning on seeing Paris until after the war. Well, I'm an orphan. I have no parents, no money, I'm not married. I don't even have a pet. And anything I might say in my sleep to the contrary can't be held against me.
We don't want to be shot as a spy, do we?
No. I don't want to be shot as anything.
Victory, starring Sylvester Stallone, Michael Caine, Max von Sydow, and introducing Pele.
How'd you like to play football against the Germans?
Why not?
Is the time for heroes. Victory. You've never seen anything like it.